Hello everyone, I'm Stephanie Sebbing from Quilt Addicts Anonymous, and today is a really special day. My third book just arrived. Technically it's not out until beginning of November, but we've got copies now that you guys can order and I'll sign them. I've been signing books. I signed some this morning, so I have technically opened one box, but we're going to do an unboxing here with you guys so you can see the book. I'll open it up so you guys can see the quilts that are in it, and we'll also show you some of the beauty shots, and I'm just so excited about it. Our last book, Fat Quarter Workshop, was and still is a bestseller on Amazon in the quilts and quilting category. So, you know, no pressure or anything to try and replicate that. But that one's still available. We can get you signed copies of that. And also we still have my first book, Simple Quilts to the Modern Home. If you get any 2 books, then you get 10% off. If you get any 3, you get 15% off. So if you have watched us for years on these YouTube videos for free, that's great. We make a little bit of money on YouTube ads, but if you want to support us and say thanks for all the free video content, grab a book or 2. Each book costs less than 2 patterns, and each book contains 12 patterns, plus all the info on how to get started quilting, picking fabric, and all that goodies. So let's check it out and let's get this box open. But make sure you head on over to shop.quiltaddictsanonymous.com to pick up your signed copy of the new book, plus the other 2 if you haven't got those in your quilty library. Get the trusty box knife. We got more than one of those around here. All right. These came today. We got 6 big boxes for our first shipment. Most of them are already purchased, but we can get more. It's no big deal. Our publisher ordered a whole bunch. All right, here we go. Of course, it's upside down. Let's turn it right side out so you guys can see it. Here is the book. It's very exciting. We've got 3 quilts on the cover. 4, actually. There's one up here. That's a different one. Everything in the book is made from fat quarter bundles. So most of them are going to be fat quarter friendly you might need some background fabric and a separate binding, but that's it. So you can pick your favorite fat quarter bundle, get a nice coordinating back, and have a quilt in no time. And our specialty here at Quilt Addicts Anonymous is designing quilts that look like they took a lot of time, but you actually can get them done fairly quickly. Most of the quilts in here I got done in just over a week or under a week. So they're definitely ones that you can do. And it's not like I get to quilt all day, every day. That would be fantastic, but I've got a business to run. We've got 10 employees, and there's always something else for me to do than sew. So it's a good day when I get to spend a day at a sewing machine. But let's take a peek at the inside of the book. You can see some of the other quilts on the back. These are some of our top 10. What we do when we pick out what's going in the book is 10 of these quilts were originally designed for our Stashing with Stephanie subscription club. If you don't know about it, check in the link in the video description and find out about it. Our members get 30% off the book when they join, and it's automatic. So if you go join right now and then you go add the book to your cart after you have paid for your subscription, you'll be able to get it right away, and you'll get a fun bundle coming to you. And then we designed 2 that were exclusively for this book, so they've never been available anywhere else. So even if you have the other patterns, if you're a Stashing with Stephanie member, go check it out because it's less than the price of 2 patterns for this book. All right, so we got our table of contents. We can see what's coming in here. We have our 2 new designs. This one is right here behind me. It's Dot Dash. We just did a tutorial on that, and we'll have one on Sonic Boom coming soon. And then we have some of our best sellers. So what I do is I take a look at our download report, see which ones were downloaded the most, and those end up making up the rest of the book. So we've got Bling, Cross and Dot, On Point, Geometric Garden, Lily Field, which was named for my daughter. I think this one was Rainbow Frosting. Yes, we have a rainbow layer cake. This one was a fat quarter-fried version, so we called that one Rainbow Frosting. Ray of Sunshine, Strata, and Sparkle, and Stargazer. So it's a good mix of ones. We're going to do a lot of half square triangles. There's going to be some 4-at-a-time flying geese, some equilateral triangles, and a whole bunch of strip piecing. So depending on your skill level, you can absolutely use this to grow. And I'll just kind of talk through the intro for you guys because this book would not have been possible without my fabulous staff and partners and my long arm quilter, because the majority of these quilts were done when I was pregnant in what's considered a geriatric pregnancy because I was due after my 35th birthday. And so I had to work reduced hours because I had to do a lot of monitoring at the hospital. And so my team was just fantastic in helping me get these quilts done, both in helping me, trim down Haskell triangles and just taking on a lot of the extra workload so that I can focus on sewing and designing quilts. My long arm did 5 of the 12 designs in here. And then of course, the other half were designed at the very beginning of the pandemic. So I was at home with a 6-week-old and a kindergartner who is now learning on the internet. And it was insane. It was totally, completely insane. But I made the deadline and we got the quilts out to you. And I'm just so grateful to my team who really did a fabulous job. And then also my long armor, Shelly Moore, and you can find her at Quilt Stitching by Shelly. All right, so the beginning of the book is similar to the others that you've seen. We got some principles of modern quilting design, tools you need, some tips for perfect piecing and choosing fabric. And then we go over how to cut the triangles. And I will tell you that every quilt in this book, except for Sonic Boom, because we haven't done it yet, has a video tutorial to go with it. And that one's coming soon in the next month or so. So it shows you how to do it on paper with photos, but you also can watch a video tutorial for it. Just head to our tutorial page on our website and do a search for that quilt name and you'll be able to find it. Also talks about doing a quilt sandwich. And I'm very excited about this. We talk about doing continuous binding. For my first book, my editor would not let me put continuous binding in because she thought it was too hard. But honestly, it's not. Once you've done it the first time, it's a little intimidating the first time. We've got a video tutorial that shows you how to do it from start to finish. It's very detailed and it looks fabulous. So I highly suggest that you do that. And then of course we talk about doing quilting labels and all that good stuff. Oh, I love it when we see projects like this and you just see it all. Like this is like a year's worth of work and quilt designs in here. And it's just really exciting to see it all on full display there. All right, so we're gonna start off with Sonic Boom. And yes, I'm gonna put my hand over the other side. All right, so this is one, it's great because there's no piecing of actual blocks. Your blocks are these diamonds that we're gonna cut out, and you can see kind of how to do that there. It's all fat quarter friendly, and you're able to get a nice lap size quilt. This was one of the ones that we got it done so quickly, and it was just so nuts with everything that was going on in life that we didn't take our own photography for that, so we're gonna be doing that for the first time here. But this was one that the publisher took and then put this pretty little background on it. But we did this with Tula Pink and her new True Color. So we're going to be able to bring this actual kit back. So if you like this, just stay tuned. We're going to have it in about a month or so for you guys, along with the tutorial. But it really is very simple. When you put it together, you're going to essentially create some wedges. So we got some wedges here, 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 and here. So we have 6 wedges. You're going to sew your wedges together on the diagonal rows first and then join them. And then we join our wedges to the center, join our halves, and we're done. So it really is pretty easy. Like you can kind of see here, this is kind of how it comes together. You join your rows in there. And so since there's no piecing of the actual block, it really goes together really quickly because you just have to cut all your diamonds and then you're good to go. Dot Dash, this is one you guys have loved. We just redid it in a Halloween colorway. Those kits are sold out, but it's any fat quarter bundle will do. Almost all the quilts have multiple sizes. This is one that you can make in multiple sizes. Sonic Boom is just one size. But this one you can make anywhere from crib to king, and it's really cute. It is mostly strip pieced, which means you're able to create all these tiny little squares without actually having to cut all the tiny little squares. So I highly recommend you check out that video tutorial that we just did. That way you guys can see it and make it with your favorite fat quarter bundle. In this case, you mostly just want to make sure you're going with some medium and light value prints for your fat quarter. And then you have a light value print for your back. But this one, I used a Shell Rummel line, which is out of print. We can't get more, but we do have more Shell Rummel coming this winter, so stay tuned for that. So she has some really light value prints in here, which you can see. And so I just used really bright white for that background. And that way I was able to make even those light prints pop. So it was just a very, you can see it behind me, a very tranquil quilt. It was really fun to do. All right, next up we have Bling. This one, Ruby Star Society, this is one of the first lines that they came out with when the girls who founded Cotton and Steel moved over to the Moda family. And it was one of their most shared photos on their Instagram when they reshared one of ours for that year. It was really exciting to see that. This one is not that challenging either. Again, it's all fat quarters, and then you need background and binding to go with it. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna stitch 2 together and stitch these 3 together. Then we're gonna be able to join them, and it really goes just super fast. And so creating that block is not hard at all. And so then we're able to sew it together on the diagonal, so that way we don't have any Y seams, and it all works out really great. This is another one that comes in multiple sizes. We've got crib, lap, twin, and queen. Cross and dot. This was a really fun one to do. This was one that's really good if you have a fat quarter bundle that has a lot of light value prints. A lot of times when things are printed using traditional screen printing, it's very expensive to make the actual screens that they push the die through. So a lot of times they'll make a design like this bird, and they will make it in multiple colorways. And so that's why you a lot of times end up with like a third of the line that's really light, a third of the line that's really medium, and a third of the line that's really dark. So that is certainly what happened with this line. So what we did to separate that so that way our background would stand on its own is we put all the really light prints in the center of the block, and then we had medium prints in the first half of this cross. We've got some flying geese with the darkest, and then there's a tiny little square at the edge, and that forms that secondary design. So when I'm designing, I try to use as much of the fat quarter as possible so there's very little waste left over at the end, and it really works out really as well as I can, so we can use it up as much as we can, really show off the line, what makes it pretty. And in this case, we also did scrappy binding, so it changes as it goes around, and it really was a lot of fun. No scrap left behind in this one. And this one again comes in crib, lap, twin, and king. On point. So this one got named while my daughter was doing a Zoom ballet lesson at the very beginning of the pandemic. And the reason is this quilt block let's see if we can find an image of the quilt block. Here it is. So here we can see our quilt block, and what it does is when we put it together, it makes it look like this design was put together on point, but it meaning like this, because you can see the design coming up like that. But because it's all half square triangles, it's just a regular square, and it's a really fun method of putting it together. I totally swiped that from my friend Shar and her Nickel Quilts book, that technique. It's a really great one, really easy way to make a bunch of half square triangles and have coordinating squares to go with it. And it really is very pretty. And so this one, we've got a crib, a lap, twin, and king that this comes in, and you don't have to go so dark with the background. We did, but it's not necessary. All right, geometric garden. This was a really fun one. This is one of the last ones I did before I had my baby, and I remember obviously you don't sleep very well at the end because the baby's constantly keeping you up. So I remember designing this in the middle of the night after like waking up to go to the bathroom for like the 5th time, and I could just see this like elongated pinwheel that's sort of connected. So what you do is we're going to make one whole block here, and then we're going to have kind of a half row here. And so that is really fun, and it allows us to create this flower path that is kind of going at an angle here. It really is fun. We can make this one again in crib, lap, twin, and king. And there are no points to match because you always have a point going to a background piece. So if you're off just a little bit, nobody's ever going to know because no point is going to come up next to another point. Here you can kind of see what I mean by that. We have one big block, so we have rows of that alternating with rows of the just middle 3. And when you put them together, that's what creates that cool design. So here you can see my big row and my skinny row, big row, skinny row, and so on until we have the finished look. And that is just so neat. If you've been saving some flowers, this is a good one. All right, Lily Field. So at this point, there was an intense debate in the Sebbing household on what we were going to name the baby. She was still in my belly. My daughter and I wanted Lily. My husband was just not so sure. So I named the quilt Lily Field because I thought it looked like a lily. It has 6 petals on its flower. And we ended up winning out, my daughter and I. So we have another little lily as well. And this one is strip pieced. It looks complicated, but it's not. We're going to strip piece together, and then we are going to cut our triangles from that and be able to sew those back together. So you can see here, there are no Y seams. We're going to assemble going across in rows like that. And again, crib, lap, twin, and king for these version. All right, we've got to rainbow frosting. This is one of those that is just available in one size. It's a lap size, and it is perfect for fat quarter bundles. You want to make sure you've got 18 fat quarters, and they need to kind of be able to go in different colorways because you need to be able to split it up so that you have specific numbers of colors in each colorway so that the color change happens on a peak instead of a straight line. But again, we're going to strip piece a lot of these, and we're going to just have some equilateral triangles and others. And it really is a great no neutral quilt. I just quilted this straight line, straight across, changing colors as I went up and down to really kind of create some fun contrast with that. And it was just so fun to do. And this one, I did use, you could just use one binding. I did use 2 because I used some extra fat quarters for that. But you can see kind of what this looks like. Well, let's put it together here. So this is kind of what it looks like when you lay it all out. A design wall or a spare bed is fabulous for this. But when we put it all together, we're going to go on that diagonal seam again. That way there are no Y seams in this, and it really works out great. Make sure you watch the video tutorial that goes along with this so you can learn my 2-pinning technique for making sure you don't lose any of those triangle points when you put them together. Ray of Sunshine. So this was, I believe, the first Stashing with Stephanie that came out after the pandemic got really nuts and the whole country was basically shut down. And so I had this rainbow collection that we weren't supposed to have. This was supposed to be another line, but it wasn't going to come in time. We were trying to get everything in-house as quickly as possible just in case shipping shut down. So Figo, Northcott, they were great. They got this to us before all that crazy happened. And we basically created this design from Mountain Meadow, which was a previous design from Pippa Shaw. Love her. She's a great designer. And then also some of their basics collection. And so we were able to create this really cool rainbow. So this is just all with half square triangles. And we tell you where they're supposed to be. You're going to number them 1 through 24. And then you are just going to pair 1 and 2 together, 2 and 3, and so on until you make your way all the way down to the bottom. And then you place them in a really specific way. Again, this is a good one to have a design wall or a spare bed that you can lay this out on. And it was just so fun, and it was really we did not mean to be rainbow at the beginning of the pandemic when that was the season of hope, but it worked out great. It was just absolutely fabulous and really beautiful. This one was so fun. So my husband works with me. He handles all the fulfillment, make sure all the packages get out to you guys the way they should, and he cuts a lot of your orders. So when he mostly trusts me, I do all the fabric buying, and every once in a while I get one in and he just is not so sure about it. But when we got Strata in from Robert Kaufman, and it was designed by Wishwell, he was just so I don't know, Stephanie, you've never done anything like this. It looks like graffiti. And I was like, it's awesome. People are going to love it. And you guys did. This one looks so, so good. And we have more of it coming from the designer. And I'm so excited. It's going to be coming up in a future Stashing with Stephanie. So a really great reason to join. And this one is just all strip pieced. This whole line is strip pieced. And then you just cut it apart. So it looks, and then we alternate it with a big long strip so you can really show it off in the big sections as well. It was just so fun to make, and it went really fast. And this one, again, comes in crib, lap, full, and king. So this one was really fun too. So sometimes I have a plan for what I'm gonna do, and then it doesn't work out. So what I really originally was gonna do with this is the same diamond that we made in Bling, and I was gonna put some equilateral triangles behind it and have that be the background. And that was not working out. I realized that I was going to need some obscene amount of background fabric, 5 yards or something, and it'd be queen size. And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. So what we ended up doing instead was I was just playing it with the blocks, laying it out on my bed. and I ended up coming up with this layout, and oh my gosh, it was just fantastic. You guys loved it. It was really, really fun. This one is only available in lap, and again, this is another one where we're going to sew rows together on the diagonal, then join our rows to create our wedges, and then we have wedge here, 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 and here. So we got 6 wedges. We're going to join to centers, join our halves, and your quilt is done. So no Y seams at all. This is another one that's great for when you have a bunch of about equal numbers of medium, light, and dark fabrics, because we have all of our light ones as a large diamond, and then all of our medium and darks are the outline. So that way it stands out really well against your background fabric when you get to the edge. Here's an example of what that wedge means. So here they are all put together. Then you join them to create your halves. You join your halves and you're done with your quilt. And oh, that looks so fun. All right, this is the last quilt in the book. This one is Stargazer, and it's really fun. It's a mix of strip piecing and then also just using really big diamonds. And it's another one where if you've got multiple values of prints, it's a good one to use because you can use your lights in the center, and then I think we used our mediums out here and our darks for our big ones, and it ends up just looking like petals, like Stargazer lilies, and it just looks so, so pretty. And I really just loved how this one came together. Like you can kind of see the breakdown of the block design here. This one was strip pieced and then cut into diamonds. This is just a plain diamond. These we sewed the edges to the center to create this piece, and then we did it again to create our big piece. We join our wedges, and then we stop right there. We don't go anywhere beyond this. You can do 2 matching ones, and then you're able to join everything into vertical rows. And then that is what creates your full quilt. So again, no Y seams anywhere. Looks really good. It's a one that's really fun to lay out on your bed or your design wall when you're done. And we've got throw, full, queen, and king for that one. All right, well, that's a peek into Fat Quarter Patchwork Quilts. Again, it is 10 quilting designs that were originally part of Stashing with Stephanie and now are only available as part of the book. So make sure you check that out over on our website, shop.quiltaddictsanonymous.com. And then the first 2 patterns are exclusive to the book. The book costs $17.99 if you just get one, and you're not a Stashing member. Then that's less than the cost of 2 patterns, so it is totally worth it to get the new ones. And if you are a Stashing member, you get 30% off the book. So if you're thinking about joining or rejoining, make sure you rejoin first and then do a second transaction to get your book, because you'll get your discount on that. Stashing members also save 30% on our Fat Quarter Workshop book, because that also had some patterns that were originally part of the club. And then we've got my original book, Simple Quilts for the Modern Home. So if you buy any 2, you're going to get 10% off. And if you buy all 3, you get 15% off. And again, if you have watched this channel for years, you've enjoyed the quilting and sewing tips, but maybe modern fabric isn't for you, or maybe you're quilting on a budget and you have a massive stash that you want to use up. Well, this is a great opportunity to say thank you. Get a book or 2, start using your stash with it. They're all great stash busters, especially the Fat Quarter books, because they all work with fat quarters, and they all have also common sizes. If you're a scrap saver as well, you can definitely make something work from that. So check that out on our website, shop.quiltaddictsanonymous.com. Get sewing, get working on that stash, find something for that Fat Quarter bundle you loved, or maybe pick up a new one that has caught your fancy. And you can get inspired to make something fun. All right, until next week, happy quilting.